Tell me a little bit about what your expectations are for the upcoming session. For those of you that don't know, the session begins a little early due to it being an election year. It starts in January. What personally are you looking forward to the most?
Thank you, Preston. I think I'm a freshman in the Florida House, and I recently completed my first session, and it was a transformational session to be part of under the leadership of Speaker Oliva and the Senate President Galvano and our governor. And I look forward to this upcoming session. In my opinion, I think cybersecurity is a huge issue that's facing our state at a local, regional, and a state and a federal level. I believe we are in the midst of a cyber war as a nation, and that's one of the reasons I brought forward an appropriations request to provide funding to assess our cyber and power grid here in Florida.
What exactly can be done from a government perspective that isn't being handled or should be handled in the private sector? A
great question. About two components to cybersecurity. We have global actors that are targeting our nation at federal and state levels. So there's not a comprehensive approach to addressing those issues. There's a private sector component that are directly working with federal agencies to really protect themselves in addition to their comprehensive plans internally. And we also have at a state level. And quite frankly, in Florida, there have been a few entities that have been attacked through malware, and they had to pay a ransom to release their data, so I can have full access to them. And that's a concern to me personally, because this is a silent war that we are fighting behind the scenes. Not a lot of Americans are fully aware of it. Right now, you or your organization or me, myself, and anyone else, we find ourselves in three different stages. You are either being hacked as we speak, you are coming out of a hacking experience, or you are getting ready to get hacked. And I mean, that's the world we live in, and technology has flattened the world. And we just have to be ready as Americans. Look, there are over 190 countries in the world. We're the wealthiest nation in the world. And we just have to be very proactive to really build an infrastructure that if anyone is thinking to mess with us, they have to think twice about it. And I believe my small piece of legislation is a first step in the right direction.
Real quickly, we got to take a break here in about 30 seconds, but does that include the connectivity of the power grid? You know, I've talked to a lot of elected officials over the years, as you might expect, and I can't say that I've gotten really warm, fuzzy responses to the notion that our connected power grid leaves us really vulnerable to cyber attacks that could conceivably shut down large portions of not just the state, but the nation.
That's a great question. I can tell you that we don't have a comprehensive plan that I'm aware of where we can feel good to go home and say that our grid is 100% protected. There was a recent article I read just a few weeks back in another state that the grid was attacked, and it was at a smaller scale. So that's the reason we have to be very serious to the point where we have to treat this as a war, and we have to deploy the necessary resources to defend ourselves. Because, look, at the end of the day, the lack of power or having the system down can truly do a huge amount of damage to our economy and many other entities that we heavily rely on the connectivity to the power and internet.
Representative Zika, you were born in Yugoslavia. When did you come to America?
Yes, I was born in former Yugoslavia. I came to America August of 1997. I was 17 years old, and I greatly remember the first day in America. It was a special day for me, and now I'm proud to call myself an American.
Yeah, what a journey, huh? To now find yourself serving in the State House of Representatives. When did that get on your radar that you wanted to serve in the government? So
I consider myself a public servant. Reagan is a great inspiration to me, especially when on June 12th of 1987 sent a powerful message to the Soviet Union to tear down a wall of evil that divided Europe between light and darkness. And darkness believed that freedom came from government, and light believed that freedom came from God. And I believe, as a new American, we all have a responsibility to serve our community and ensure, Preston, that America remains the shining city on a hill.
Do you? Let me stop you there for a second, because you were educated then largely outside of the United States. I personally am growing gravely concerned with what's happening to our education system in the United States, and that young people are not being taught the truth about different forms of world government, American history, U.S. history relative to that. In short, I don't think kids understand the dangers of socialism and what that leads to. Do you have any sense that the legislature is in a position or able to even address that?
Great question, Preston. I'll keep it very brief until the point what socialism is. Socialism is a Ponzi scheme. And we don't have to go too far away than look the evil of socialism. Look at Venezuela, former other countries around the world. And I truly believe that, in my view, I think as a legislature, by the way, I'm so proud to be part of a transformational legislature that it's really leading the nation in so many different important issues. But I believe through school choice, giving the power back to the parents and the students, I truly believe that we have to continue to inform and educate and remind the generations to come of the evil of socialism. Is a Ponzi scheme, and that's what it is. And that's the reason I'm proud that I'm serving in the Florida House and be an advocate for our way of governing our society. Look, you can travel around the world, and there's one thing about America: our enemies hate America's optimism. And we must preserve and defend unapologetically our individual liberties, which are at the core of America's optimism. And that's what this is all about, because when you can undermine America's optimism, our enemies win. That's the reason it's so important. We must be united, because when we are united, we become an unstoppable force for greatness. And I'll leave you with this, Preston. American optimism is a unique phenomenon in the history of humankind and very contagious around the world. The high degree of optimism is derived directly from our founding fathers, that life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness is given by God and embedded through our early writings. And our enemies want to undermine that around the world. That's the reason we must stand against socialism and fight for who we are and stand for America's greatness.
Ardian, that's a perfect last word. There's nothing more I need to say. I look forward to having you back on the program sometime soon. If we don't talk before, have a great Christmas. Thank you, sir.
Hey, likewise. Thank you, Preston.